Hello, I'm Father Wesley Evans at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church in Sherman, Texas. This is the beginning of several videos on angels. I'm actually going to do a series of videos on angels and then probably ghosts and then demons and exorcism. This past Halloween, I did a Priest of the Pub special on angels, ghosts, and demons. And I plan on doing essentially the same thing through this video series, although this will allow me to go in a little bit more detail. So we're going to start with angels and talk. There'll be several videos on angels. We'll talk about different aspects of angels and what they are and different angel names in the Bible and the Apocrypha and maybe some other parts of tradition. And if you're curious and this piques your interest, at one point I will address how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. We will actually talk about that and a little bit of angel philosophy and various other things. We'll start with angels. And so for the first video, I just wanted to introduce the subject and then also talk about where angels fit. Where angels fit is in where do they fit in a worldview. A worldview is how we view the world. It's at basic how we take in information, right? We all see different and we experience different things and we interpret that data differently in different ways, usually based on preconceived ideas, the odd ideas we already bring into something. A worldview is kind of like glasses, okay? We're all wearing different glasses with different shades, and so what we see or experience, we put into what we've decided already can or cannot be true. So if you bring into something and assume that spirits cannot exist ever, it's impossible, then if one were to appear before you, you probably assume it was a hallucinating or a dream or something, right? You would come up with anything other than an actual spirit because you've determined that it's impossible, right? If it's already part of your worldview, then it may very well be possible if something appears. Okay, that's kind of a really basic idea. Where angels fit? Well, there was a book, Understanding Folk Religion, we read in seminary. And in there, and explained that the missiologist sort of studies mission, and the book's point was to study the way people do and think in terms particularly for mission work in this case. But what really had a really interesting and helpful chart, and the chart had essentially three layers of reality. And at the top layer in traditional societies and in the Bible and in the biblical world, so time of the Old Testament, time of Jesus and on, the top layer, of course, is God, or depending on the religion, the gods or forces or cosmic forces or fate or things like that. So the top level is the highest level stuff. Karma or something might go up there too if you're Hindu. So this chart is broadly religious. It's just a general idea of where things fit. And at the very top is that. And in the middle, of course, we have a sort of a middle realm. And in this middle realm are angels and demons. And in certain traditions and societies and religions, maybe like magic or amulets, saints, holy men, things of that nature, kind of a middle realm. And the bottom level is humanity and plants and animals and rocks and things of that nature, the physical stuff. And on that bottom level, these things exist in relationship. So in traditional societies and the general idea of the Bible, these things have a relationship with each other, the humans and the plants and the animals and the trees and all that. And this was mostly what people operated on until the Enlightenment. And the argument he presents, I think, is pretty good, is that the Enlightenment shifted this worldview. So you still have three tiers: a middle, a top, a middle, and a bottom. At the top is still maybe God, but in this case, God very often is deism. He's very distant, right? And in that worldview, religion is private. It's a private thing to keep to yourself, and God might exist, and he may or may not interact with anybody. That's it. And the middle realm is stripped out entirely. Just there's no middle realm at all. And the bottom realm are the plants and the trees and the rocks. But that's public knowledge now, and it's determined by science, the scientific method, and which obviously works pretty well. I'm sitting here in front of a computer designed by science. My undergrad was computer science. This stuff works, right? But in this sense, this is more than just science as a tool. This is science as a comprehensive way an absolute way of the only way of viewing reality and seeing sort of what exists, right? So it's a little bit more intense than just, oh, this is a tool to help us make stuff, okay, or to learn more about the world. And this bottom level, you have the plants and the trees and the rocks as nothing but biological categories. They don't exist in relationship. There's no spiritual component to them, and it's public knowledge, right? Religion becomes private, science is public. There is no middle ground. There's no room for angels or demons or saints or anything like that. The middle ground is taken. That's kind of what he's arguing is the modern worldview that we tend to operate under. So all that to say, of course, then, angels are in that middle ground. Angels are the excluded middle. This middle part of reality that we have perhaps sidelined, we perhaps marginalized, we have perhaps forget about, the realm of the supernatural, the realm of the really spiritual stuff, okay? And that's what I'm going to be talking about actually on a lot of these series. We're going to be talking about essentially that middle realm. I guess I should rename this whole series a theology of the middle realm or something, a theology of the middle world. I don't know. This is, and it's kind of interesting to me because when I have talked to people, actually a few years ago, I was invited to speak in Louisville at a paranormal conference. I gave a talk on Christian theology of demons and exorcism. I was the only one in the collar there, but there were some other Christians there, interestingly. But I had a lot of people come up to me and say, oh, I didn't know I could talk to my pastor or priest about this. Usually pastor was what they used. I didn't know I could talk to somebody about this. And, the thing is, right, is that the weird and the supernatural and the spiritual, that's supposed to be our job, right? Like, that's the realm of the church. The church is supposed to be working with this. I mean, where else are people going to go? This is part of what we do. We have a Bible. And by the way, you can quote me on this. There is a lot of really weird stuff in the Bible. There's weird stuff in the Bible, okay? Just embrace the Bible as weird. It's there, right? And so there's this weird idea that we've gotten that, well, and some of it's the church's fault. We've told people, well, we don't believe in that kind of thing anymore, we don't deal with that anymore or something. And so people do come to the church. People have come to me, and I say, oh, of course I'll come out and bless your house. Something's going on. And sometimes I'll even ask them, well, did you talk to your pastor? And they said, oh, well, they brushed me off. And so people go somewhere else, right? I mean, they're still going to have questions about the spiritual world. They're still going to encounter, maybe the supernatural from time to time, not sure what's going on. They'll be confused. They're going to go get answers somewhere else. And so if you're a Christian and you're a pastor, you're watching this, it's your job, okay, to deal with the supernatural and the spiritual and the weird. That's the domain of the church. That's part of what we're supposed to do. So little bit of side note there, but that's where angels fit. Okay, angels fit in that middle realm. And in classic Christian theology, angels are sort of a middle part too, actually, because we have God at the top. And God is, in our view, completely infinite, beyond all things, and spirit. He's sort of infinite spirit. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit later about what spirit is, because say, what angel's a spirit? The question should be, well, that's great, but what in the world is a spirit? What does that mean? How does that exist? But God is at the very top, beyond all things, infinite, right? That's the whole. God is the good, the true, and the beautiful. He's not just the most powerful thing or the most good thing. God is goodness. He is truth. He is beauty. He is power and knowledge. And God is love, yes, too. God is that, not just the most loving being, but he is those things. And so beyond everything, and then of course we have plants and animals and rocks at the bottom. I won't get into an argument of this video whether animals have souls, so let's go with rocks and trees and things. Classic Christian theology, they do not have spirit, they do not have soul, they're just physical, right? So God is completely infinite, spirit, non-material and infinite, and a rock is completely material and finite, okay, limited. Okay, God is unlimited in spirit, rocks are limited and material. You have human beings, right? And we are physical and we are material, and we're limited. We are finite creatures who are physical and material. And so Thomas Aquinas, I'm going to talk a lot about Thomas Aquinas in these videos, by the way. There will be a lot of Aquinas later. I'll tell you why later, another video as well. But the angels sort of, he argued, angels have to exist because there's a missing spot if they're not. We have infinite spirit, and we have finite matter and spirit in human beings, and then we have finite just matter. So where's the finite spirit? Do you see? It's kind of a great chain of being. And he said, without angels, without spirit, without finite spirits, it's kind of missing something. And so that's kind of where angels fit in there as well. And lots of people have testified to angels, not just in the biblical record, but throughout human history. Almost every religion has some testimony of there being spirit beings, spirit creatures, something. And people seem to be really experiencing something and still do now. There are plenty of angel stories. When I usually give something like this, it's interesting how many stories come out of the woodwork. So this is kind of an introduction. The other thing I want to do in this introduction is also give you a series of books. I always like to collect books, lots and lots of books. So a few books here. And the first one actually is Billy Graham's book on angels, is a good one. It's the first book I ever read on angels, and it's still a nice, short, easy read on a general Christian idea of angels. It's basic, okay, but there's nothing wrong with going over the basics. I started up Taekwondo to try to get in shape, and it's good to go over the basics continually, all right? It's a good basic book. When you've finished reading that, and want to move on a little bit, Stephen Knoll, okay? You can see this right here, Stephen Knoll. Of course, the camera's doing it mirrored, but Stephen Knoll, Angels of Light, Powers of Darkness. Stephen Knoll, Angels of Light, Powers of Darkness. And this is a really good next level book. I highly, highly recommend this for general angelology, study of angels. Then you have this guy, Jean Delilou, S.J., so Jesuit, the Angels and Their Mission According to the Fathers of the Church. This is more church history, a historical theology of what the church fathers held about angels and their beliefs. Also a really good, handy thing to read to get a handle on what Christian theology and beliefs about angels were at least generally in the early church. Moving on, more philosophical, Case for Angels, where he argues for the existence of angels as its own thing, as sort of, you've heard about philosophical defenses for the existence of God. This is like that, only with angels and spirits. It's really fascinating, definitely worth a read, particularly if you're interested in why angels exist at all. Should we believe in spirits and angels and things? This one's really good. More philosophical, Mortimer Adler's The Angels in Us, and he takes angels from a philosophical perspective. What would it mean to be a bodiless intelligence? To have some kind of consciousness and intelligence but not have a material body, which has been something the church has discussed for a long time. And so he tackles some of those there, and it's a shorter read than reading all of Thomas Aquinas' Summa, or his section on angels. Not all of it deals with angels, but it's pretty good, and this is definitely worth a read. This book is very expensive. It's going to be hard probably to get unless you're really, really interested in this. I think it was somebody's dissertation that got published, but it is absolutely fantastic. Angels and Angelology of the Middle Ages by David Keck. If you plan on spending a lot of money on a book on angels and you want a little bit of angel philosophy and a little bit of history of what the church has believed about angels over time and a little bit of Bible on angels, this is one to have. I do highly recommend it. This is probably one of my favorite books ever, which might say more about me than I think about anything else, but definitely pick up this book. Here's another book, another expensive one, Ashgate, Studies in Medieval Philosophy, Angels in Medieval Philosophical Inquiry. This has particular chapters and articles on things like how angels move and how angels could communicate. Basically, what does it mean to talk when you don't have a tongue? What does it mean to hear when you don't have ears? How would angels communicate? How would angels exist? How many angels can dance on the head of a pin? Angelic circumscription. It's got some stuff on that, and that's really good too. Also talks a little bit about angel hierarchy, if I remember correctly in here. And thinking of things like angel hierarchy, if you want a reference book, this one is good here. Gustav Davidson's Dictionary for Angels. I've got lots of different dictionaries on angels and various sorts, but this is a good standard one. Has angels both in legend and history in the Bible and the Pseudepigrapha and some other resources too. Has some charts in the back on angel hierarchies and archangels. I actually have some charts that fill those out a little bit more. I found some more sources. I can always publish later. I can put them on a website or something, but this is a great one to have as well. And then finally, in terms of medieval stuff and spirituality, the Classics of Western Spirituality does actually have an angel one. And actually, there's several commentaries here, I believe, on Pseudo-Dionysius' Celestial Hierarchies, which you need to read if you're interested. Yes, if you're interested in angels at all. And has some sections on Augustine and Gregory the Great, Bernard of Clairvaux, and Hugh of St. Victor on angels in terms of a spirituality idea. So definitely worth picking up. So those are some books, and this is, again, just a basic intro. Next time we'll talk a little bit about specific angels in the Bible, angel terms like Son of God and cherubim and seraphim, and we'll talk about a few of those sort of words used, holy ones, watchers, where they appear in the Bible, what they mean. Some of those might be more than one series. You all might be really fascinated by the cherubim. I did a paper on the cherubim in seminary. And kind of some of the stuff going on there. So hope you enjoyed this first session. I hope you're looking forward to more of them. Look forward to seeing you next time. Again, this is Father Wesley Evans of St. Stephen's Episcopal Church in Sherman, Texas. Our worship is every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Please join us for that, and join us for our worship in Holy Eucharist and Word and Sacrament. God bless. Bye.